Everyone to the Tuesday, January 12th regular meeting of the Bland County School Board. Dwayne, if you would do the invocation.
Lord, we thank you for this day. God, we thank you for your mercy and thank you for your grace. God, we ask you to bless this meeting, God. Lord, always let us make the right decisions, God, in the best interest of the kids and our teachers, our employees, God, and our parents, God. And just ask you to watch over the rest of our teachers and our kids in this season, Lord, with this COVID and let's get this thing taken care of and ask it in your name. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We've already approved the minutes for this meeting in the closed session. We have the records of the December 4th meeting and the December 8th meeting. Any modifications to those amendments, those minutes suggested?
No, I have none.
If not, if I could have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the December 4th and December 8th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Budry?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Next item is the attendance report. We ended December with 662 students, 327 in elementary and 335 in high school. That's a reduction of 21 from the prior year. We have 30 students that come to our schools from out of the district, and they're spread pretty much across all the grades. The number of students that are remote has been varying quite a bit, and the principals will probably talk to that in their discussions. Okay, financial reports. We've been notified that we'll be getting $429,000 in the next round of CARES money. Lenore, did you get the request yet, or is it? It'll be in this coming week's paper? Tomorrow's paper, okay. We'll be asking for a number of bids, and once we get feedback on that, then we'll make decisions as a board as to how best to spend this money in the categories approved in the motions from Congress. So it is nice. We had about 400 and how much the first time around? We had 300 and we had 134, didn't we?
14,485 with the additional, but that was the federal money.
Right.
And then 300 from
And all of that now has been spent and documented. Is that true? Okay. And I'd like to thank everybody on the work on that. That was a lot of work because some of that we didn't have much time to address. Other than that, it's a tough year. I know some of the with Bland money, the grants, the STEM grants and things, it's been very hard to spend all of that. And I don't know, Laura, you were commenting earlier today. If you want to repeat what you told me.
Yes, we submitted our
Not performing.
So that's almost 30% of the senior class.
Are they virtual or are they in person?
The vast majority are virtual, and that number has gone up, and we'll touch on that in a second. I will have a better understanding of where every senior lies tomorrow afternoon, but a rough estimate, we're looking at about a third of our seniors struggling.
In your instructional meeting you went to, isn't this a common thread for about everybody in our region?
Yes, I had a key instructional leader, meeting last Friday, which is regional meeting, and that was one of the topics, was the concern of the number of students failing. It's common everywhere, a discussion on seniors and what we're gonna do about them, that was also discussed.
What we have done is we've met with the teachers and tried to come up with something that can level the playing field or give them an opportunity to pass in the second semester. I know that doesn't touch on teaching and learning, but it will give them a chance. We have raised the minimum score for the semester 1 to a 55, which allows every student at Bland the opportunity to pass the second semester if they score a minimum score of 85. So that's the highest C we can allow. Students prioritize things hopefully a little bit better. They will have an opportunity to move forward. Nobody in that school will fail if they can organize themselves a little bit better this semester. A lot of it's missing work, a lot of it's not turning in assignments. And that's, I would say, 85% of our difficulty is getting assignments back from kids. And that's why our numbers are as skewed as they are.
So as far as not turning assignments, is it an internet issue? Is it a child not kid
Our
not doing the work?
Internet is an issue, yes, but that's not the overall issue. Our teachers have been extremely lenient in accepting work, and I think every school district across the nation has to. But we keep in constant communication with our underperforming kids, constant. And
Parents, I'm sure, I know you are.
Well, and they struggle too.
No, I know. I'm just you're getting the parents involved. I know you are. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
a
it's. I've never pulled teeth before, but I'm sure it's as difficult as this.
I know I was out there last week, and Tyler and his folks have done a real good job of trying to contact parents.
Thank you.
And actually was able to contact the parent when the parent called and asked for food, right?
Correct.
And we discovered that parent, and
Worked midnights, got a hold of her.
I think Tyler made contact with her at midnight,
We found her.
and we found her. So it's a constant battle getting hold of our kids.
How many do you have that are currently on remote, do you know?
Well, that number went up the past 2 days. The phone has been off the hook today. As when I left today, it was about 128 students, which is up near our, when we first came back to school. I had 2 more transfer to virtual on my way over here. So we're looking at about 130. We'll have those numbers finalized tomorrow as well. Tiffany and Karen have been keeping up with those.
And why is that number going up?
I believe fear of COVID and the spikes that we're seeing across the.
Could some of these, since we don't have the elementary open, could it be that maybe the high school kids are the babysitters and?
That could be true. I'm sure there are some instances like that. Yes. But the overall piece or feedback we're getting is we're not sure yet. I want to keep them home for a little while longer. And I'll let you know when they can come back.
Yeah.
Just not feeling comfortable with sending them back.
Uncomfortable is a good word for it. Yes.
And that makes our schools smaller. I mean, that actually less risk in schools, but I mean, it's almost like we're doing the AB students almost, and but
Feels like it.
they're all going 4 days a week instead of doing 2 days. So
It's a
For those that are watching and can't see these papers, probably the most shocking figure is for the fall semester at the high school, we had 426 Fs. And that compares to 56 this same semester last year.
2 years ago. 50, 62 last year.
Right, okay,
Mhm.
I'm same semester, I'm sorry. 62 last year, 56 before, so we would normally expect about 60, and we have 426. You know, we have said that, and this is a touchy thing, we have said that being remote is a privilege. And if they're not doing their work, we have the ability or the right to say, if you're going to be a student, you've got to come in.
Correct.
I know that's a very tough call when in the
When we get
current
our,
environment.
I'm sorry, when we get our tiered students with 1F, students with 2 and 3 or more, that will give us a better idea of who we're going to ask to be in person. Students who are borderline or have a failure that we can rally behind, I believe. We may keep those kids virtual, but once we have our data in front of us of multiple failures, that will be the big indicator for who comes back or is asked to come back.
And when will we be at that point?
Those numbers are finalized. We're looking at those tomorrow.
Okay, so this week we'll be going through that.
Correct, yes, sir. We already touched on movements between in-house and virtual. Those numbers, I think last time when I was here, or excuse me, the last board meeting, we were roughly at 70. That's almost doubled, of course, so. I don't know if that will trend higher or not. I don't know that. But I think we've kind of leveled off here. I think anybody who's wanting to switch has made it known, hey, I'm switching back or I'm staying virtual. But I would predict we're about level there. So, excuse me, key events. Of course, remediation for the fall SOLs. We've started those with several of our teachers here, Ms. Sexton, Ms. Hall. I know I'm forgetting about 2 or 3 more, but we've started that process. Semester 2 assessments, so assess where we're at and be able to determine where we need to go. Once we get those assessments, we'll be able to create a remediation schedule and better align students who are underperforming with some better guidance and some more structured, or excuse me, more straight line instruction for what they're not getting. Excuse me, off topic, but I think a part of the entire cohesion, athletics has started up. It's a big event for a lot of our young folks, a lot of our parents. Our boys and girls basketball teams have already, hopefully you guys have been able to tune in on our live stream of those. Our boys team played last night at Galax and was successful, and our girls are on the road tomorrow at Fort Chiswell. Our middle school teams have started as well. Their games are tonight. Curly's manning that fort right now, and we've had pin drop in a gym when it's a tied ball game going into overtime. But it's we've been fortunate. The disinfectant of the gym in between games. So we've been fortunate. We've only had one program go into quarantine, and that was the very beginning of the basketball season. So if we can stay out of the mud there, we'll be able to finish the season at the end of January and hopefully move on to some postseason. Our MAC forensics and all of our other clubs with a virtual aspect. Ms. Carter is leading up the forensics, and Ms. Sexton and her cohort of MAC sponsors are learning the new virtual way to compete with other teams from school and from home. So they've been working hard at that, and we surely appreciate it. 2021 School Climate Survey, those come out the 25th, excuse me. The recommendation from teachers and students' performance on who comes back from virtual to in-person and vice versa. But in a scenario that may happen, we'll have that option across all platforms. We do a good job, I think, right now. We could always do better. And our teachers are learning really every week that we do something. Every learning model we give, we learn something new and how to provide consistency in person and virtually. So that's something we'll try to work on every day. Excuse me. Item number 4, items we need support from the board to accomplish. Excuse me. The Khajiits, I believe I'm saying that right. Those were a tremendous help for 5 individuals at our school. We would like more of those, if able. You can't touch or reach the kids that don't have internet or cell service, but the students who have cellular capability, that has really helped that group of kids being able to learn and assess virtually. So that has been a tremendous step forward, and the feedback we get from the students that have received it is tremendous, and the parents are extremely thankful. And I think word has gotten out that they're out, and more people have called, and that's a good thing. We want to know how many people we can serve.
How many of those do we need?
I don't have that number right off
Now,
the top. I'm
doesn't
sorry.
that eat up their cell phone?
It's through, well, I won't speak for Denise, but they, to my knowledge, the parents do not worry about a thing. It's all through our contract, it's from our side. Parents
Okay.
do not pay a thing. They only pay a fee if
Doesn't
it's
use their
lost.
cell phone service or anything,
It pulls cell service
but
and,
we're paying for it.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excuse me. Enhancements for instructional delivery for 100% virtual learners. I think that's something a lot of schools are picking up on and getting different instruments, so to speak, that could help that. We've been working with Dr. Hopkins to try to figure out what the best plan of action for our school is. But I predict that will be something we will need some financial assistance with, whatever software or whatever program that we choose to use as a division. From a building level, we are always making improvements. Electrical, heating, XYZ. JDM has been diligent in helping us when we have an item of need come up at the high school, but I would predict some electrical and heating improvements that will need to come to that school in the near future. I've been working with Sharon and John. We've had some outages in a couple different rooms periodically through the day. I think Joe Showery was about to pack up and leave on me the other day if he couldn't send an email, but I predict those would be some financial bearing moving forward. I think that's probably every year. And we want to seek to continue to improve our athletic facilities. Our gym has, in my opinion, and other people's opinion, we've gotten a lot of good feedback from the bleacher install. We want to make some improvements to the overall aesthetics of the gym and how the floor looks. The floors do a good resurface, I guess that's the word. So we want to be able to put that in the budget. We also like to make some updates to our weight room. We've formulated a plan of action with Travis and what items he may need. And lastly, I forgot to mention, our Pixelot cameras have been installed. Those are not familiar. Those are the cameras through the NFHS network. Every team in the district has those. I'd say almost every team in Virginia now has those. The ability to use it comes after it's calibrated, and we are in the queue for that. So hopefully by Thursday or Friday of this week, those will be fully operational, both at the high school gym and down here at the football field. So that's a tremendous step forward in our ability to break down film, study opponents, and most importantly, get the game out to our loved ones.
This is going to take the place of Miss Parker's broadcast.
Well, yes.
She's going to be
it'll
studying film.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, Coach
So
Mach
we've
is
got
already
them installed,
be
but
in
they're not
charge.
calibrated.
correct. Yes, sir. They're both installed. everything's
Now,
ready
these are
to
supposed to follow the ball, my understanding?
Yes, sir. Nobody runs it. It's all through a computer. Put your game in, takes over from there. Broadcast the score, and you can even link up someone to commentate. And we've got an idea of somebody that we may do a little
That may
color
commentate.
commentation.
Well, there's
But
little
that's
things
that's in the
fly
future.
around.
We're just focused on getting it up, getting it running, and making sure it works correctly.
Tyler, what's the cost to view those games and so forth? Is there like a fee to go online and view those?
Correct. Yes, sir, there is. For a monthly pass, I believe it's $9.99 or $10.99, excuse me. And that allows you to view any game, anywhere, at any time that's broadcasted through the NFHS network. You can also purchase an annual pass. But what's neat about this system is, yes, there's a subscription fee, but on non-VHSL events, we can broadcast graduations, we can broadcast anything under the sun in the gym and on the football field, then those are free of charge. So the upside to those is, yes, it is a fee, yes, but not only can we broadcast it, we can broadcast it clearly. I know we've gotten some feedback that our pixelation on our live stream is not the best, but that will come up, and that will be better. And on year 3 of our contract, we can monetize and take sponsorships from local businesses that can broadcast their logo on the screen. And it's also a platform for donations. I've had several people want to know how they can donate electronically, and that's a way that people can donate 100% to our school. They take no cut from that.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sir.
Okay, Mr. Grimm is on quarantine, so Mr. Mead will cover his part.
You need to get a little taller, Mr. Mead, if you're going to be Mr. Grimm.
Well, I'm also not as smooth as Mr. Green.
Well, no, not quite.
He's quite the smooth guy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Did you like one?
You're
Oh.
wired.
Shit.
Don't cuss
You're
at
on,
the
you're on it, and your mic too. So not only you are, but your mic. So be careful there.
microphone. Cursing in the microphone.
Oh, my. You didn't see that, Mr. Butcher. You can't laugh.
He heard it
You
though.
might have heard it though.
Miss Parker will never let me live that down, I'm sure. Mr. Chairman, I think I can ask you if you're impressed with some of the updates the principal's given. I think it answers a few of the questions you've been asking for nearly a couple of months now. And I appreciate the work they've done. A lot of this Mr. Grimm proposed, and we're glad to have Mr. Grimm. His report, if you look at the first, follows Tyler's report, just like he did. You see the educational performance. You see the enrollment he has is 336. First attachment, you'll look at a 3-year weekly attendance average. And you stop me anytime you want to discuss that. Also, you'll see historical performance by grade levels, A's and F's, now to a year ago. You also see an attachment, historical performance by school and grade level, and movements between in-house and virtual, and pending return to in-person instruction. So that gives you sort of the same thing that Tyler presented you. You have here one for the Bland Elementary School as well. Any discussion on that?
Well, it's a little different picture. Significant drop in A's for the school, from 1,300 last year to 700 this year. B's are about the same. C's are up a little. D's are up from 22 to 69, and F's are up from 10 to 57.
There's like a 600 difference between the A's last year and this year, but there's not a 600 difference between there's not that much of an increase anywhere. So is that because of number of kids? There's 1314 versus 729. It's almost 600 difference, but there's not a 600
There's not
difference.
600.
No, you're only talking
That's
about
not in addition to the
47.
rest of them.
We were talking about grades
40,
now,
80.
so it's
Yeah, I know, 40.
one kid could
100.
have 6 or 7 grades.
Well, you're talking about a 500 grades difference between your increase in your F, your D's, and your C's. What is that, 100 maybe total, max? And you got 600 down on the A's, so
Where did they
almost
go?
600. You're talking about a 500 difference there, so that's,
Yeah, there seems to be some.
Where did they go?
yeah.
I mean, to which other grade did they go?
Yeah. I mean, because you can kind of see on the one for the high school, it's up 400 on the Fs, and it's 150 on the A's down. B's is really what got hurt the worst, and that's about 220.
Right, there's,
Yeah,
comes back to about the same total.
yeah.
It looks like there might be some data problem on this.
On the A's, yeah.
Hold on a minute. You see, he's sitting in his
And it
easy chair.
may be the number of kids, and maybe, but I don't know. That's a big difference. That's a 500. What are you doing?
Colin.
Oh, well.
Mike, can you hear me? Looks like he picked
That's
it up.
okay. I mean, you could just ask the question
Right,
there.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't
we're
need to
looking
answer.
at
I mean,
trends.
He told me he would be ready to talk to you if you
Okay.
had questions.
I'll
I'll try one more.
That difference, that doesn't make sense there. I mean, because everything else is kind of equal. The F's is really what the F's and the D's are up a little. The F's is what's up the most, but the A's are
Yeah,
down
so the other
significant
ones
versus.
are up about 140, and that one's down
Yeah.
600. Yeah, so there's.
I will get
Yeah,
that
just something you
information
can
and
just
get
look
back
at.
to
I
you,
mean,
okay?
it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we know it's bad, but
We know also that, I'll say grades are handled differently in elementary school than in high school.
True.
So I think our concern is, are the students getting the fundamentals that are going to make them successful as they move forward? And I think that's somewhat in his second bullet, if you want to move ahead, Scott.
Key events. You want to talk to him?
Yeah.
Hey, Michael. That's all right. I can't hardly hear you. They got a couple of questions on a few of your charts. It's about the number of grades and the A's and stuff. Could you address that? I'm going to put you on speaker. Can you hear us?
Yeah. So my understanding, I've been listening to you guys online, watching on YouTube. My concern, I saw the same thing with the disparity in number of grades. It might have to do with specials grades not being recorded the same way this year simply because the number of specials courses we had. For the amount of time when students were virtual, they weren't able to interact with those classes as much. I need to go back and investigate it to see if those specials grades have been omitted.
Okay.
Which typically run a little higher than other grades. So that may represent some of the disparity for the number of A's.
Okay,
Okay, appreciate that. If you could check into that and get back with us, please.
all right. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Key events, PALS, and STAR reading and math. PALS assessment's going on right now. That's very vital for those kids that in K3 that we can find out where they need the help, the most help, so we can get in there and attack it and give them the kind of remediation they're going to need. The Virginia School Survey on Climate and Working Conditions, it's for faculty and staff only. They do that annually. Mrs. Wilcox, I think, is the lady that does that. And it's beginning on January the 25th. Plans and strategies moving forward. Grade level teachers providing recommendation on students that must return for assessing consistency of instruction between virtual to in-person learning. So Mike is on top of that, and those are some of the other things that we've talked about with Tyler as well. Items you need to accomplish. The building, the old cafeteria building is coming right along. I think we've got some plumbing issues and things like that to do, but it should be soon. How long do you think it'll take?
Well, we did a modification this week. Mr. Grimm requested that I'll say, increase the flexibility of the building to cover some spec ed. So that put us back a little bit, but they were looking to insulate this week and get ready for the sheetrock. So that should go pretty quick at this point now. The wiring's been approved, and we're ready to move ahead.
Okay. Eager for improvements to the HVAC within the classrooms and other instructional spaces, and he's referring to the BARD units there. Hopefully we get on those and get a few of those up and going, so we see how that's going to be. I'm excited too. Seeking to improve classroom layouts this summer by removing and replacing large four-sided bookcases to improve supervision and increase social distancing within the classrooms. He's done a lot of that already, so he's got a plan on even doing some more. Any questions on any of the Bland County Elementary Schools updates?
Thank you.
I think we'll probably move on to special services.
What about,
Lisa's got a few things if you
is there any public comment? What time is that?
Sorry.
5.
None?
Well, the next update is double check. I was getting my shot today, so let me make sure not.
Okay.
What did you say?
I said I was getting my shot today, so let me double check that nothing came in while I was out.
Denise can't be here. She
emailed me.
So she sent a few things that she's been working on. Small amount of help stick tickets. This low number is due most likely to being virtual. 10 Chromebooks have had to been repaired for students since last time we talked. Removed and recycled 3 pallets worth of old technology, which there needs to be a lot more. Started preparing Lab 112 at the high school for testing. Have currently installed 7 new PCs. Helped multiple teachers with several little issues. Ran updates and checks on servers. Sports cameras have been installed at the high school gym and football field. The cameras at the high school have been fully repaired and continue to work on master schedule collection due January the 22nd. That's from Ms. Tate.
Okay, Ms. Radford.
I have a couple of updates for you this evening. I handed out the paper, so you should have that on your tables. Updates for special education. We did complete child count in the month of December, so I do have some updated numbers for you. And Lane County Public Schools is currently providing special education services to 129 students, ages 3 to 21. Last year at this time, we were serving 112 students, so we have a slight increase there in the number of students that we're providing services for. As far as student placement, 64 at the elementary, 65 at the high school, and that included our Head Start and Steps of Faith. And then I also put on there for you how they're on the side, so 56 last year at each school. So again, we are up a little bit there. I also went ahead and included for you, sorry, I've got asthma here going. I also put in there for you just a breakdown by primary disability, what we're serving, our students' needs there. And then licensure, we did hold a virtual in-service for all of our teachers who are renewing their license. So we had that, and we've had several that have already got their packets into us, so they're on it and getting that done quickly for us. And then the final update on there is for STEM. I do have a planning schedule planned or scheduled for this week, so we can start taking a look at what we're going to do with our spring program this year. Okay.
A 15% increase is a pretty significant increase. How are we as far as capabilities?
We're still good. We're good as far as caseloads and placement. And Mr. Mead, we were talking. I anticipate that going up. I think I have 11 referrals right now that are out that we're waiting on to see if they're going to be eligible or not. But we have an increase.
Because we'll be, starting the budgeting process here very shortly, and this will be critical information.
Mm-hmm.
What we're really concerned about is some of the kids that haven't got the instruction they need, and really pound the K-3 area on grade level reading. So we talked about that today in depth.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Superintendent?
Okay, we've been talking about the region's virtual academy and how that's going. So I've got some updates to give you on that from Matt Hurt. Matt, I tried to get Matt to come tonight to talk to us, but Matt's extremely booked, especially in the evening hours. He did say, though, he would be able to maybe come during the day or even talk to us through Zoom or something through the day to explain what's going on. I'll try to do my best to give you the updates, but questions we might have to refer to him. This is the beginning of something big. This is the beginning of a virtual academy for not only our region, for the state. So and part of this is he's going to say it's not to be confused with virtual Virginia. This is not virtual Virginia. This is something new. So he sent back, he said, the virtual Virginia, or VAVA, now I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's an acronym for what they're doing, not to be confused with the state's virtual Virginia program, made Region 7 an offer to accept all Region 7 students for a fee that is less than we can manage if we were to build our own program. The trade-off would be that Region 7 divisions would have to accept at least 5,000 to be educated by VAVA at no cost to Region 7 divisions. In fact, these divisions that accepted outside students would receive 5.5% of the state money associated with those kids for simply allowing them to enroll. And VAVA is what I'll call it, has been provided these services for 20 years, and the superintendent seemed to think it might be a good idea to go with them, all the while developing our own program to put in place in case the VAVA program is ever determined to be unsatisfactory. Therefore, the regional virtual director will be hired either way. And we did go with VAVA. This director would serve as your director of the region. At this point, there is a lot still up in the air. We're waiting on a written proposal, and this will be sent to division attorneys for review. It does look like there's enough divisions interested in the virtual academy to get the ball rolling in either event. And it says if you got questions, he's willing to take your questions.
Now, what kind of cost was that to us? I didn't
I'll
get
let
all
you
that.
read
Would
that.
you just read it again.
Okay.
For everybody. You have your microphone on? Yeah, okay.
Okay. An offer to accept Region students for a fee that is less than we can manage if we were to build our own program. The trade-off would be that Region 7 divisions would have to accept at least 5,000 to be educated by VAVA at no cost to Region 7 divisions. In fact, those divisions that accepted outside students would receive 5.5% of the state money associated with those kids for simply allowing them to enroll.
So I assume we would give up that 5.5% to them.
That's not how I read that. In fact, the divisions that accepted outside students receive 5.5% of the state money associated with those kids for simply allowing them to enroll. I'll have to ask him that question. You're thinking that we would have to give up 5.5% of a, well, but if we're having to pay a fee, that still might be cheaper.
Right.
Right, that's the difference, that's the trade-off.
Right. He's saying he thinks that 5.5% is cheaper than the fee we would have to pay.
Yes. Also, he sent, they have what they call a committee that's going to be their steering committee. And it's just like 4 different school divisions. And they've already got a schedule of times. And if you read down the times that their timeline of things, it looks like they should be finished with all this by mid-July to late July, with ready to go up in August. So whether we go with VA or not, we are still going to do a virtual academy.
And it should be ready for the next school year.
It should be ready for the next school year. So the steering committee will branch out to where all of us will be somehow involved in it, with folks from our division and other divisions coming up with the proper way to do this. And we'll be hiring a director to see over this, sort of like we did the CIP program with Matt. That's how I envision it.
Okay.
Okay?
I hope it works out well. It's very much needed.
I've got your annual code of conduct for school board members. Would you like me to read that to you, or would you like to read it on your own and sign off on it?
You can go ahead.
As a member of my local school board, I will strive to be an advocate for students and to improve public education. Number 1, I will have the integrity in all matters and support the full development of all children and the welfare of the community, the Commonwealth, and the nation. I will attend scheduled school board meetings. I will come to board meetings informed concerning the issues under consideration. I will make policy decisions based on the availability of facts and appropriate public input. I will delegate authority for the administration of the schools to the superintendent and establish a process for accountability of administrators. I will encourage individual board members' expression of opinion and establish an open, two-way communication process with all segments of the community. I will communicate in accordance with board policy, public reaction, and opinion regarding board policies and school programs to the full board and superintendent. I will bring about desired changes through legal and ethical procedures, upholding and enforcing all laws, state regulations, and court orders pertaining to schools. I will refrain from using the board position for personal or partisan gain and avoid any conflict of interest or the appearance of impropriety. I will respect the confidentiality of privileged information and make no individual decisions or commitments that might compromise the board or administration. I will be informed about current educational issues through individual study, participation in appropriate programs, such as those sponsored by my state and national school boards. I will always remember that foremost concern of the board is to improve and enhance the teaching and learning experience for all students in the public schools of Virginia. Therefore, I will strive to demonstrate appropriate behavior and conduct as public school board members, and ask for each of your signatures.
Anything else, Scott?
Nothing more than to let the board know, and Mr. Chairman, that this has been an interesting week with one school open and one school closed. It's been the first time we've done that. Of course, we've had the first of many things this school year, and our teachers have really just stepped up to the plate. Our administrators have. I know I say it every meeting, but to go in and see what our classroom teachers are doing right now is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't think anybody in here that's seen that can say anything different. So hopefully this virtual academy, when we get it up going, will help teachers in so many ways with virtual learning. And we'll have a better year this coming 2021.
Is the plan to open back up the elementary on Monday?
Yes, we said that in the last meeting. We'd open up the elementary school on Monday, and I think that's still planned to do.
Just when you want to get an announcement, we want to get something out to parents.
Okay.
Sure we get a communication out to.
Ms. Parker?
I think my suggestion, and this, we need to discuss this, but I think we should wait till probably Thursday to make that announcement.
Okay.
Because I'd hate to do it and then find out we have some cases and
Yeah.
we can't do it. So why don't we make a target of Thursday noon to make that announcement for
That's
both
fine.
schools?
That's probably wise. We started our vaccinations today. That's been an ordeal. Bless the people's hearts from the Virginia Department of Health, the Mount Rogers Health Department, the Bland County Health Department. It's been a really learning experience for all of us. But we've all worked hard. I think most all day Thursday and Friday and yesterday. As far as the school system, I spent working with them trying to schedule our vaccinations, because it started we was going to do it at the school here, then we were going to do it at the Indian Village, and it ended up we all went to Withville. Well, not all, but some of us went to Withville today and met the teachers over there and got our vaccinations. So I think there's several people in here today that had those.
Yeah, I think the health department, we need to take our hats off to them. They're being asked to, they're being counted multiple times, put it that way. They're being asked to keep up with all the statistics. They're being asked to do tracing. They're being asked to give shots. They're really stretched thin. So.
And that's the other thing too. They've been stretched so much, they're now having to give vaccinations. So the tracing's kind of come back to us. And principals, myself, we've been doing a lot of the tracing, so it takes an enormous amount of our time to get through this. And like I said, you're exactly right. I take my hat off to them. I don't know how they're doing what they're doing, but they're getting it done. Dr. Shelton and Brandy and Brianna, they've worked real hard with us. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board members, Sharon, if you want to start.
Just hope everybody just bears with us when we're trying to make the right decisions or whatever for school, and still appreciate all the hard work that everybody does, and I know they will keep doing, and I really appreciate everybody.
Dwayne?
Yeah, same as Sharon. Thanks to all the teachers and administration and JDM for all that they've done for us, and just appreciate everybody's efforts. Hopefully we get through the year and get these grades back up for these seniors and all the kids, really. So,
Philip, your comments?
Just want to say to each and every one, I know that everybody is doing hardest and best work now. Let's continue to do that. Let's continue to give these kids our all. I know it's challenging times. Also, to those that are on quarantine or those that are sick, I want you to know tonight we're praying for you, and we're just believing God that He would touch you and heal you. And bring you back to health. But I just want to say as well, kudos to the health department. They've really supported our school system really well, and we really appreciate them over there.
Yeah, it's been an extremely tough year for everybody, and we've tried as a board to balance concern about health with our obligation to give the best education possible. And there's no doubt that the quality of education has dropped during this. It's not because of lack of effort by everybody, but it's been very uncertain times, and basically things can change in a heartbeat, and every day is something a little different. So we now see the figures of what's happened from a performance standpoint, and we're going to have to address this very aggressively, and we're going to have to strongly recommend that certain people return to in-house because it's not working for some people in a remote environment. So it's been a tough year, and like I say, we'll continue to monitor it on a daily basis, and hopefully things will start turning in the right direction. Okay, next action item is to approve payments. Any questions on any of the payments? Cindy, anything you'd like to add on any of the payments?
Was the Air Mechanical Solutions, is that part of the
Air mechanical, that's the barge.
barge units? That's what I was thinking. Okay. I just wanted to look at that one.
Yep, that's the barge units.
That was the only thing I think I had a question on.
Right.
Just to, and I assumed that's what it was, but
Right. You said you had, you corrected the things that were in the wrong category.
Yes.
And-
Yeah. Kelly had actually given me that to correct last month, and I was really busy and forgot about it. She knew the implication.
So we received something different from the health department.
correct.
On the 10 days, there'll be 10 days essentially the first 6 months of 2021.
Yeah, now it says for this calendar year 2021, employees will be allowed 10 days. So you probably need to change that
We
language.
could reword it, but then too, if you pass it out like that, you're looking at 10 days and
And then another
next
10
school year
days in the
too.
next year. Yeah, but then you can't, you hopefully next year we don't have to worry about it.
hopefully.
You hope, but
Yeah.
uh,
I'd like to end this with our contract year, our
Yeah.
fiscal year, and then put this in sync with our fiscal year.
yeah.
Okay.
Having something that's calendar when everything else is fiscal is, so essentially this will be an additional benefit for
Yeah.
people
So
if we
this
do
is
that.
gonna run from January 1st to June 30th.
Right.
Yeah. And then the next year, if we still need this, then it'll run from from beginning of the contract to end of the contract.
Right. Okay, if you're in agreement, could I have a motion to approve these documents?
Are you good, Sharon?
What does it say 10 days?
Hmm?
What does it say on here?
This one, that's right here.
Oh, it's over here, this
Yeah.
one. Okay,
Yeah, that's
but
there.
it's not anywhere on this.
No,
one.
that's not on this. So, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Four. Okay, next item is, we need to talk a little bit about our budget process. And it ended up very awkward last year because COVID was cranking up,
Okay.
and it's going to continue to be awkward this year. So we need to have a budget meeting, we need to have a public hearing. What is the definition on the timing of the public hearing that we need?
I think you would want to schedule it when you're, a little further into the budget. You could go ahead and schedule it now just so it doesn't fall through the cracks. Or we can just table it and I'll put it on every month until you're ready to take action.
I think it would be better to table it.
Yeah.
I mean, This year is gonna be very difficult in figuring out what our revenues are.
Right.
It's very hard to decide how much you're gonna spend if you don't know how much you have.
It does have to be done,
I think
whatever the date is that the
Dr.
Board of
Workman likes it by
Supervisors.
April 1, but I don't think we can have it by April 1. There's a lot of, like you said, you don't know what your revenues are going to be. That March 31st count's going to be huge for us.
You know, we usually try and canvass the schools, but that's not really possible now, so I think we're gonna have to ask the principals to provide
Talk
the
with the
input
teachers,
on
yeah.
the schools.
Yeah, usually we have a meeting at each one
Right.
and with the bus drivers and, yeah, so. And that's usually in March, isn't it? Don't we usually do that in March, February,
We
March?
start in February, but what do we tell them? I mean, we don't know ourselves. So.
Yeah,
My suggestion, Lenore, would be to table both of these and let's try and come up with dates in our next meeting, our next regular board
and see
meeting.
where we're at. And
Right, see what information we have. I mean, right now, I don't know, you know, the state has made no decisions. Other than they are, I don't know how firm that is, that they're saying that
SOQ.
SOQ, I'm sorry, positions will not be
Well,
adjusted.
they're lobbying for that right now, and hopefully
But
that's.
that has not passed, they're just lobbying.
I think they're lobbying real hard for that right now, and I think there's been some verbal commitments, but there again, I don't know if the state realizes what their budget's gonna be. I mean.
I'm sure they don't, because they're looking at, you know, the revenues are gonna be hit just like everybody else's.
Well, they're expecting to be deep in the red unless they get a federal bailout. And then the question is, what's gonna happen with the new president and Congress?
Right.
So everything's up in the air this year. It's gonna be
Yeah.
I mean, the
Interesting.
budget's gonna have a lot of prayer in it,
A lot of prayer, you say?
yes.
That answers pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Okay, Philip, you have anything you wanna add to that?
No, I mean, that all sounds good. I would like for us to garner feedback from our staff and faculty some way of another. I don't know what would be the best way. I mean, I know we give them in several different forms, but I know we normally have meetings at schools. I don't know what the best way to do that is, but I would encourage us as a board, even if we go 2 by 2, to go to separate schools, whatever we can do to do.
You'd have to make sure you space everybody out and,
Yeah, the problem is getting all the teachers in a
together.
room or whatever and.
yeah.
Well, and I don't know necessarily that that's the thing to do. Maybe
Right.
just host a Zoom meeting. Anybody wants to get on and just chat with us for a few moments and just to garner feedback. I don't know if that would be anything anyone else on the board would be open to.
Well, it's, just keep in mind, it's a budget meeting. It's to talk about budgetary items.
Yeah, and that's, you know, we usually open it up and talk to them about things we're looking at, and then if there's any, you know, any teachers that feel like they need something, that's usually what it is. And when we can get that, the principals can do that, so.
Okay, personnel recommendations. I think we have 2 actions as far as personnel. One is a high school nurse.
Do we need separate motions, or can we just?
I
do-
just, at this point in time, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a recommendation that we accept the 2 listed personnel folks there, Larissa Hunt as Bland County High School nurse and Hannah Cox as volunteer basketball.
And I'll make a motion for both of those recommendations.
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
Or
Mr. Sheffers?
4. That concludes our action agenda. Unless somebody has anything they'd like to add, we need.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4?
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
Mr. Buttrey?
Did you hang up on him already?
No, he's still.
I'm still here.
Okay, we need a vote on adjournment.
Oh, I said 4.
Okay. Can I push the button that hangs up on
And
you?
I'll say 4. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you joining us.
I want to.